take with a grain of salt 6 through 10. But 1 through 5, those are the truly great ones. I felt like I needed to put at least one indie film on the top 10 list. And then coming at number 10 is Never Get Busted. This is a documentary about about Barry Cooper, who made a DVD called Never Get Busted. And the DVD was basically teaching you how to stash weed in your car without getting caught if you get pulled over. Barry Cooper, it goes through his entire life, even up till today. But he was a guy, just, your typical redneck Texan. And he gets into the police department, and the last thing you want to do with this guy was give him a gun. And this was during the time where drugs were like the scourge of the world, of the U.S. at least, and people were just getting busted here and there for drug possession, no matter what size. And he was certainly a part of that. He also wrote the book on how to discover drugs and how to arrest people for drug possession. And the guy soon had a come to Jesus moment, realizing that what he was doing was wrong. And that's where the DVD came from, Where to Hide Your Stash. And then he just became this advocate for people who were wrongly arrested and detained by the police. There's a woman in jail. The second act of this movie is there's a woman in jail who someone had snuck drugs on her. She didn't know it, and she was sitting in jail. And Never Get Busted, what Barry Cooper did was he wanted to create a reality show that would entrap police officers, and that this was basically the pilot, and how he was able to get her released through this really elaborate scheme, and how he used the law on his side to not himself get busted, to the point though where he had to flee the country. Because that's how much damage that's how much he exposed the corruption that was going on in the police department, and especially in drug enforcement at that time. It is an incredible documentary from start to finish. It is engaging. Look, I am pro police, like you wouldn't believe, but they're not all great, but most of them are. So I will admit that. But this is a guy who tried to do good.
Wow, you makes me want to see it. I really
absolutely.
see it. No, I did not see it. That's great, Alan.
Absolutely. Number 10. I've seen it twice. I'll say a lot of these movies I've seen more than once, and that's why they're on the list. Number 9, Superman.
What? What?
I have seen Superman 5 times in the theater. That's probably the most I've seen of any movie this year. Look, you can go back to our discussions about Superman. The biggest thing is I am so not hung up on the lore of Superman that I actually enjoyed myself watching this movie. The whole father thing, it's like, to me, there's like Jor-El. Am I getting that one right?
Yes.
Jor-El, to me, Jor-El was Marlon Brando. That's the extent of what I know of Jor-El. So this idea that, you ruined him by turning him bad. Well, I mean, look, I have Marlon Brando, and now I have Bradley Cooper. To me, they're just interesting takes on a story, and that's where I'm kind of that's where I stand on Superman. Is I'm intrigued by Gunn's take on it. Look, I can see down the road that it's going to be a rough road ahead, but the thing that I liked about Superman was David Cornsweet and the way Gunn had portrayed him. He was. The whole Jor-El thing, the whole point was he was raised by his earth parents, and he got his American values, his human values from his earthly parents and not from his Kryptonian parents. And that he is the Boy Scout, that in this wacky, weird, chaotic Gunn universe, Superman is the only steady character in it. The only one that truly stands for good and for what's right, and the only one that you can definitely call the Boy Scout of the entire Gunverse. And I'm intrigued by it. And I also say that I feel like that this is the beginning of the arc, that the fact that he is a bit too impulsive, that tells me that he is a newly born Superman trying to figure out himself in this world. And I'm interested to see where Gunn takes it.
I completely disagree, but
yeah, I know you do. We've had long discussions about
this.
That's okay. But again, the movie I've seen the most in theaters this year is Superman. Number 8. The Wedding Banquet. Oh my gosh. This is one of the funniest movies of the year. It's a nice small indie film. It's basically about a lesbian couple and a gay couple who want to stay in America uh, to their parents' wishes of them coming home. And so one of the lesbian offers to marry one of the gay men, and this elaborate banquet and wedding ensues, and from start to finish, just hilarious. So the wedding banquet, you liked it,
Yeah, I did. I liked it a lot, but it didn't
yeah?
bubble to the surface for me as one of the best, but it
Yeah,
was enjoyable.
absolutely. Number 7, weapons.
Oh, great.
Weapons. Like it's known. I'm not a big fan of horror films, but what I liked about this movie was just the whole time shifting, or not time shifting, but perspective shifting. And
Right.
there's a lot of perspective shifting in here. And they start coming at you rapid fire, and once you start understanding it's the onion, it's the mystery box, it's the onion. You just every perspective is one layer peeled, another layer peeled, and finally you get to that final layer, and it's just gold. And everything that has happened up to that point pays off. And it is just a smartly written horror film, horror thriller, I'll put it that way. And I was into it. Yeah, you and I saw it together, so you know how I felt then.
Yeah.
Number 6, Bob Trevino Likes It.
Oh, great.
Oh yeah, this is this is one of those movies, you and I, we always tell one another, you need to see this movie, and
Right.
more often than not, we don't see that movie. You were on me about, you've got to see Bob Trevino Likes It, you've got to see it. And then finally I saw it, and it was like, oh, I get it. It's just it's such an emotional story about a girl who's trying to find herself, to fit in, to have a relationship with her father, only to have kind of a pseudo relationship through John Leguizamo's character there, and downright bawling at the end of the movie. Just how well written it was and how well performed it was. It's we talk about, well, we want pretty people on screen. Well, this takes normal people and does an amazing job with it. All right, number 5, Wake Up Dead Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and again, I think this has a lot to do with just the religious tone of the movie. I do like the first 2 movies. Obviously, the second one not as good as the first. But I think Rian Johnson outdid himself in this one. In this, one of the boldest things he did was not bring in Benoit Blanc until halfway through the movie. And then it's just the religious themes behind it, because he could have easily been very anti-religion, but he comes at this film from an atheist and from a believer standpoint. And you put Benoit Blanc, who's the atheist, and then Pastor Jed as the believer, and the conversations that they have were engaging and insightful. You understood each other's point, and you kind of saw yourself leaning one way or the other, even from whatever perspective you take on it. And then you have this mystery that is impossible. He literally takes an impossible crime to solve and finds a way to solve it in a way that doesn't feel like he's phoning it in, or just needing to write an ending because he has to get to an ending. And Mila Kunis is probably the weakest thing, but everyone else in the movie is very solid. So that's number 5. Number 4 is Frankenstein.
Right.
My top 4, they switch constantly as to what my favorite movie is, and unfortunately, Frankenstein is the worst of the best. The thing about Frankenstein was, just like Godzilla -1, I was drawn into this world within 30 seconds of the start of the movie. Guillermo del Toro, his world building is incredible. You are just thrown in here. You have clearly and well-defined characters, not only Oscar Isaac as Dr. Frankenstein, but Jacob Elordi is amazing as the monster. And Mia Goth, okay. The lab is incredible. I don't know why there's this dangerous hole in the middle of the lab, but it's great. and it works in some ways. Um, and I remember the moment that this movie won me over was the first half of the movie is Dr. Frankenstein's story. And he's telling it to the captain of the ship, and the monster's there with them. And then the monster all of a sudden says, "Now let me tell my side." And then the whole movie just takes a 180 and just it's just this masterpiece. So number 4, and must see it in a theater. I've yet to watch it on television. Um, okay, next one. Number 3 is F1.
Oh, great.
F1 is the popcorn movie of the year. It's the feel good. It is, it made F1 racing interesting because the best thing about this movie is Brad Pitt's character bends the rules to win, and Joseph Kaczynski, his editing, um, made it such that you could follow what exactly is going on in this race. And I think that is the most difficult thing about racing movies is to actually tell a story with each and every race and understand that story as a viewer who is not necessarily into F1 or any kind of car racing. The love story, the character arcs of not only Brad Pitt's character but Damson Idris's character, just a well-rounded movie, especially for an action movie that essentially follows up upon Top Gun Maverick. So that's number 3. Number 2, Song Sung Blue.
What?
I know. Oh,
Oh
you
my
have no idea.
God.
You have no idea how much I was like wrestling with this one. But I think I'm going for award number 1 than I am personal number 1. But Song Sung Blue is another movie I've seen many times. As you say, the Hugh Jackman, Lightning and Thunder, and Kate Hudson characters, they're us. We could be these people. If you've ever wanted to start a garage band, then you can identify it with these characters. And if you're a working person who is not rich and struggles to make it paycheck to paycheck, you are going to relate to these characters. And you're going to hope for them, and you're going to wish the best for them. And that is what we ask for in movies. Movies that make us feel good, makes us, aspire to be something better than ourselves. And Song Sung Blue does that. So definitely. And then finally, number 1 is Sinners.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Sinners is the second movie this year where from the moment the movie starts, you're just drawn into this world. I've only seen this movie in IMAX, and I can only imagine that this movie is probably the only movie I would ever say you have to see this in IMAX. But Ryan Coogler is proving, with the exception of Wakanda Forever, to be a master storyteller. He is, as much as you think this movie might be about race, it's really not about race. But it's about belonging, and it's about community. I find it interesting that the least racist group in this movie were the vampires. Which is a whole other discussion to have. But I remember you and I even talked to Ryan Coogler about this directly, but he makes movies knowing that people are going to spend a lot of money to have to go see the movie in theater. So he better deliver. And Sinners to me delivers in every way: music, cinematography, production values, acting, the cast. Overall, it's my number 1 movie of the year. Wow. And I actually have 2 more on here for best film. So
for honorable mention, tell us what they are.
I'll tell you. Let me just.
And these are ones that I forgot. A couple I forgot about that I liked. But
okay, so for those of you who love musicals, and for those of you who love Stephen Sondheim, Merrily We Roll Along, I've seen this one many times. A lot of it has to do with the musical itself. The Sondheim songs are killers, are bangers. Some of his most famous. And I think they finally nailed down the storytelling of this. This movie failed when it came on Broadway for the very first time, with Hal Prince production. And they finally made it great. Jonathan Groff is perfect as Franklin Shepard. Lindsay, I believe it's Lindsay Alvarez. She plays Mary. This is the best version I've seen of Mary in this play. And Daniel Radcliffe is okay. Second one is The Roses. you know, next to The Wedding Banquet, this is probably the movie I laughed the most at. I think, you know, I was kind of like, well, they're remaking a movie, Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman. They just hit it. They nail it. They understand the story, the emotional beats of the story. And just the degradation of their marriage to the final ending and conclusion of their marriage. Just well done. Jay Roach did it. You know, very solid film. Third one, Celine Song. She's 2 for 2 now. This is her sophomore film as a writer and director. Materialist. Look, we love stories, and Celine Song seems to have the pulse on love stories, even for an Asian. This one, like it's Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson, and Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal thankfully plays a supporting well and does what he does best and plays supporting characters very well. And he is that in this, but it's that love story between Chris Evans and Dakota that that just makes it a great romance, because quite frankly, that's what romances are. My number 4 is the one you brought up, was Blue Moon.
Yeah.
Blue Moon is a tough one because you know, it was on my top 10 for a very long time, and then it just kind of slipped off. But Ethan Hawke gives the performance of a lifetime. He talks through 90% of this movie, and I hate talking movies, but what he was saying was engaging. You followed and understood it, and then you just saw the person he became, or the person who he is, at by the end. He is basically a chameleon. He is a person who is self-loathing, who is dealing with a lot of depression issues. But when you step into a room, he knows you, and he knows what to say to you, and he knows how to play you. And the difference is between the people he talks to is whether they know they're being played or they don't know they're being played. And that's the brilliance of this. And it's a Richard Linklater movie. And then the last one was A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. Got to get another romance on there.
That was
That's
on
the
my list.
Yeah.
It fell off, but yeah.
I know. That one I didn't expect to like either. But by the end, it was just a very touching romance. And I have to say, you know, like comedy, romance is something that Hollywood hasn't been able to do in a very long time. And there are at least 3 examples of good romances this year. And so hopefully we'll see more of it next year.